Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity, back for another match preview. I hope you're all doing very well indeed. Nice to be coming on here with somewhat of a smile after Saturday's win against Stoke. It was much needed. I think there are still issues facing Norwich City that we'll get into, but it's QPR on Wednesday. A good opportunity to hopefully put in a decent performance in front of another packed Carrow Road crowd. As always, these match previews are sponsored by BetMate. I'm sure you know what BetMate are now if you've been a long-term viewer of Talk Norwich City. It's a brilliant fantasy sort of based betting app where you can go up against your friends with a 7-a-side fantasy team. We're doing a pot for this Wednesday's evening championship games in a winner takes all. It's just £1 to enter. You get a £5 free bet if you sign up and enter the code TNC5 when prompted. Chris and I will both be playing. Incredibly, Chris actually got in the top few places on Saturday's game, which meant he got a little payout. Well done to all of you that played along, and I know some of you got some cash. Myself and Chris's team are on screen now. I'm going quite big on Norwich and Burnley players. I think we're in for a good game on Wednesday. I really like the look of Burnley at the moment. Chris is liking the look of what should be a trusty Birmingham defence with John Ruddy in the sticks. He's going quite big on Norwich and Burnley as well. So similar teams, and we'll see who will come out on top. If you would like to join our BetMate League, the link is in the description to sign up and head over to the pot. We'd love to see you there. QPR then, this is once again going to be a really interesting evening. I'm really enjoying these evening championship games as always. QPR, I'm sure you've seen a lot of this season. They've been in the news mainly surrounding their manager Michael Beale, who was heavily linked with the Wolves job. It looked like he was going to take it, he then turned it down in favour of staying with QPR, who at the time were top of the championship. They've dropped down to third now after a couple of defeats in their last 5 matches, but still going really well. One of the probably most attractive looking sides in the championship this season. Very well drilled, going well, with some real talent in there as well. You look at that kind of forward four, there's a lot of really decent looking players in there that have caused and will continue to cause teams problems this season. They were beaten 2-0 last time out by Birmingham. That was the Friday night game. But you just look at it. You got Ilias Chair in there, Lyndon Dykes, who scored a fair few goals this season. Johansson, who's I think got promoted with Fulham, didn't he, before? So he's got some real championship experience. It's a good looking QPR side, set up usually in a 4-2-3-1, so similar to the way Norwich go about business. This is going to be one of Norwich's trickier games this season. However, it does kind of feel like a similar opportunity to when we were really struggling at the start of the season. We had that week, didn't we, where we had Huddersfield and Millwall both at Carrow Road, both midweek. We won both of those games, and it kind of kick-started that run of games where we went on and put a really decent run together. It feels as if we have to do something similar if we're going to have any kind of success this season. We need to go into that World Cup break, which is just a few weeks away, in really decent form, and a win here would really help that. Saturday's game was interesting. I thought the first 45 was stodgy. I think I described it as that in my match review. Not a game of few chances. Norwich looked nervy. I think a few players looked particularly leggy. Isaac Hayden included in that, which is to be expected. He still hasn't played too much football since his return from injury. I think the pleasing thing for me, and there were real negatives in there, it looked again, and there's been times where we've had this and at times we haven't due to injury. It looked like Dean Smith had some really nice options off the bench, and we saw that with Gabriel Sara, Marcelino Nunez and Todd Cantwell coming off the bench. I mean, the fact that Dean Smith has that at his disposal, I think can't be overlooked. I think it's rare that a championship club has that much talent to be able to bring off the bench. You've got a player in Gabriel Sara who cost us close to £10 million. Marcelino Nunez, we know all about. Todd Cantwell was being linked with £25 million moves just a few seasons ago. So to have that off the bench is incredibly pleasing. And even more pleasing is they did make a difference. Now, I think there will be tweaks to the side that we see on Wednesday evening. I'm really interested to see what happens with the right-back position. Now, Sam Byron played there, didn't he, over Max Aarons? I think it was the first time in 4 seasons or something when Max Aarons hadn't started a league fixture. And I think that One, proves just how much football he's played as a really young player. I think we forget how young he is because he has been a Norwich stalwart for a good while now. And it's the first time, I think, in that period where he is genuinely being challenged and his form maybe dipped. Now, it could have possibly been a fitness injury thing. I think he took a bash to the head against Burnley, so they may have been concerned with that. I think it was probably just he needed a rest, he needed a regroup. And Sam Byram's done really well. I think the one thing you would say about Sam is he struggles when it comes to pace. And I think there were a few times where he'd maybe look to join attacks going forwards and then really struggle to kind of get back. And I think against the side like QPR, who I'm going out and saying a far better outfit than Stoke, I was quite disappointed with what I saw with Stoke. That could cause issues. So I think Max Aarons may well make a return to the starting 11. I fully expect Sam McCallum to keep his place at left back. I think he looked really solid on Saturday, and it's nice to have a recognised left back that we can choose from once again. I think the midfield kind of two in the pivot will stay the same. I think Isaac Hayden did look tired. I think it was wise that he got pulled fairly soon into that game against Stoke just to be able to get some recovery time in his armoury before this game. But I think we look far more composed on the ball. I think we look more wise in terms of defensive positioning with Isaac Hayden in the side. I think he's a really clever player, so I think he'll keep his place next to Liam Gibbs. I thought had one of his better games, particularly for that first goal, broke up the play nicely, and I think we've seen that from a Norwich midfielder for quite some time. It was almost Ollie Skip-esque, the way he turned what could have been a fairly dangerous Stoke attack into what ended up being a goal. So more from that from Liam Gibbs. That was really pleasing. And then the front kind of four, I'm fairly sure I heard Dean Smith say that Josh Sargent won't be available for Wednesday's game, so we can count him out. And I actually thought we looked like we missed him against Stoke, so I'm looking forward to when he returns. But I like the look of this front four: Hernandez, Cantwell, Ramsey and Pukki. I think Cantwell has to start, and I think Ramsey has to start. I think Dean Smith will start them both. Ramsey looks like a really intelligent winger. 3 assists this season, a couple of goals. I think before Saturday's game, he was Norwich's highest assist creator. So that's really pleasing. Hernandez will cause problems for any defence. We still need to see a better final product from Onel, but I think the sheer ability to just put defenders on the back foot is something that can't be overlooked, and I think warrants a starting place. And Todd Cantwell, the ball for that second goal was it the third goal? It was the third goal, wasn't it? It was just delightful, just defence splitting, and very few players in this division are capable of balls like that. Todd Cantwell's one of them, and as well as that, and you maybe had to have been at the game to kind of really appreciate it, but these off-the-ball work in just closing the opposition down at really pivotal moments in that game was super pleasing. His development from when he first came in the side to now in terms of his defensive work is miles different. So well done to Todd for that. And Teemu, look, I think there has been criticism at points for Teemu this season, some of it justified, some of it not. But again, like Todd, there are very few players in the Championship that can create moments of just sheer brilliance to the amount of times that he does. You look at so many of our goals this season, they've come from moments of Teemu creating something out of nothing. And that's really important for Norwich City. So yeah, I think that looks like a really pleasing starting 11. And now we just need to build from that win on Saturday. I think a lot of it was confidence-based in that first half. Players not willing to take on dangerous passes, lumping it long instead of trying to find a slightly more risky pass out from the back. I think the more wins you get under your belt, the more that starts to change. And I think this is a really good opportunity to do exactly that. So it's going to be difficult. I think it's going to be far more difficult than Saturday's game. But we need to see another win because the toxic atmosphere and the sentiment around Dean Smith will not change overnight, and it certainly won't change with just a win against Stoke. So we need to back that up here, and we need to back it up in our next game, and the next game, and maybe we might be on a decent little run. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you confident going into this one, or was it just papering over the cracks for you against Stoke? Let me know down in the comments section below. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all again on Wednesday. Loads of content coming this week, including a few podcasts. So looking forward to you for seeing them. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.